everyone, welcome back to my channel. I've got a new guest with me today. This is Matt. He's my workmate.
Hi everyone, my name is Matt and I have a YouTube channel myself, and it's about creating and cultivating a side hustle that you can build and sustain you, whether you want to leave your job or maybe you just want to stay there. So,
and in fact, we're making a video over on Matt's channel talking about exactly that, about your side hustle staying a side hustle. On my channel though, we're going to talk about time management and how we fit side hustles in around our full-time jobs. I'm the marketing designer at ConvertKit. What is your job title even, Matt?
So I do, yes, I do several things at ConvertKit. Right now I focus on user onboarding. So like if you were to sign up for ConvertKit, then you'd get a bunch of emails from me and you'd probably get a video from me. And from that, I was trying to make the first 30 days experience really great so that you see the value of ConvertKit and how it can help you. And you want to stay along and keep growing.
You know I'm passionate about my job. You can probably hear that Matt's passionate about his job.
I'm very excited about it.
So we both put a lot of time into work. So then how do we fit our side hustles in on the side of that? What are some of your side hustles first off, just so we have some context?
Yeah. So besides my YouTube channel, which I started a little bit earlier this year, I also do illustrations and designs with handwritten sketch notes. So trying to take like the core essence of a complicated idea and break that down into a simple illustration that is really easy to understand and grasp.
So how do you fit your side hustle stuff in amongst your job? Also, we should say that Matt is also a father. So I'm glad that we can do this video together and you can bring that perspective. I don't have kids. I'm not planning on having kids anytime soon, if at all. So yeah. How do you fit in a side hustle alongside a job and a family?
Yeah, it's definitely something that, it's one of the things that when you have a child and you wonder like, what did I do with all of my time before I had kids? But it also, one of the great things is that it by default forces you to be even more disciplined about the things that you're doing, what you spend your time on, and you really get to ratchet down on the things that really matter to you. And that's something that like I would encourage anyone to do. You don't have to wait to have kids to do an audit on the things that really matter to you and the things that you know are going to pay dividends for you long term. You have a certain amount of freedom in your day, and sometimes the more freedom that you have, the more you can spend that doing things. You're just kind of like, oh yeah, sure, I'll go do that because I have time. When you have a kid, you don't have as much time. And so
you're more purposeful with how you spend your time.
Yeah, more purposeful and intentional. And so what I do is I carve out time normally in the morning. If you're married, also like I'm married, and so I communicate and be intentional about the time with my wife. And we got to a point where we realized like me working later at night was not super ideal. For us.
Like that's when you guys want to hang out together.
Yeah, that's when we want to hang out. And so, but she doesn't mind if I wake up super early. And that's really when I try and get up and get my work done and have time that for me when I know like, okay, Matt, 5 to 6 to 6:30, 7 o'clock, like those are my hours to do my things. So I think it's the discipline of understanding what matters to you. It's communicating with other spouses and loved ones about times that work best for them so that you can feel really free about it. It's not like you're putting something else off. And then trying to be as consistent with you as you can. And there's other things with like planning and being consistent with like getting ideas down so that when you sit down, it's not like 30 minutes of spinning your wheels, but you're like, this is my thing.
Yeah. So I'm also a morning working person. I wondered if this would change actually when I started working at ConvertKit, and we work remote, so I can really have super flexible hours and work any time of the day I want. I used to wake up early at like 5 a.m. to do side hustle work before I commuted into the office. But I've still kept getting up early. Maybe not 5 a.m. these days. Maybe it's more like 5:36.
I don't always get up at 5.
Yeah. But yeah, the morning time is like my time to be super productive. And I used to be a night owl. I've talked about this in videos in the past. But I decided to give mornings a go because I just heard that it was productive in the morning. So I was like, why not try it? Like,
other people
what have I got to lose?
Yeah.
And it was for me. So I don't know. It's not for everyone. It's okay if mornings aren't for you. But I would encourage you to try it anyway, just in case.
Yeah, just to test that out because like all the way through college, like I was not like Mr. Get up at 6 a.m. But what I love, especially with the side hustle and anything that you want to do for yourself, and especially as you add more people to your life, usually you're not going to beat people to waking up. If you want to wake up early, you can have that time. You can't always have the time at the end of the night.
Yep.
It's just
I found too that end of the night time is more likely to be spent, not wasted, but like on things that you don't really need to be doing.
Right.
So, for example, if I wake up in the morning, I'm going to work. Like, why would I get up early and just watch TV? You know? Whereas
exactly.
in the evening, people...
Does anyone do that? Like, they just get up and like, I'm so excited to watch 6 a.m. Game of Thrones. Maybe Game of Thrones.
Some people might, I'm sure. People often say to me, like, oh, how do you fit all this in? And my answer is simply, like, at a basic level, is I wake up early. And I give myself these, like, 2.5 hours extra time that a lot of people don't have. It's not that I get 2.5 hours less sleep than other people. I just go to bed earlier than most people.
I think that's something that often people don't talk about enough when it comes to waking up early is going to bed earlier.
Yes, that's important.
Because we're not saying like, oh, you can just get 5 hours of sleep, no big deal. But not the case. But you can go to bed at 10 and wake up at 5, and that's
a solid,
7 hours, you know, and you can really get into a rhythm with that. The other thing that I like about the morning versus the evening, I love your point about no one wakes up early to like watch TV, but end of night. There are two other parts of that. One, I do like going to bed earlier because it helps me wake up more refreshed.
Yep.
And also, like, if I am doing stuff, I'm trying to close the screen at some point, and not always the case. Not always the case. I'm not saying I'm like this canon of like it is time to close the screen and stop, but it is nice to like turn that screen brain off for a little bit. And the other part of that is when you wake up early, those are like once you're like really awake and you get into a point where 15-20 minutes you're awake, that those are your freshest, brightest hours mentally, and you're giving those first to your hustle, to something that you care about. Not that you don't care about your job, we certainly care about our jobs, but
you're allowed to also care about your side hustle.
Exactly. No matter what time I wake up in the morning, I'm tired at the end of the night, and I don't want to give tired Matt to Matt's side hustle.
What about planning? Let's touch on the planning side, because I'm a big planner. I've done a video about my bullet journal. I'll link it on a card. That is my current method of arranging things. So I put all my projects in there with to-do lists of what needs to be done for each one, and then each day I have a separate list. I like to try and plan the night before. I've not been great with this recently, but it's really good if you can, because that way when you wake up in the morning, you don't even think about what you need to do. Like, past you already wrote it down.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a critical part, because if you say give yourself maybe have an hour and you spend the first 30 minutes just kind of spinning, trying to get up and ready, that's tough. And that is a really good thing to do, again, at the end of the night, like kind of sit down, like, what do I want to be doing in the morning? It helps kind of shift your mind. There's some study, I know, I always say like, oh, there's some study, and I can never find it, but I swear there's a study. I promise, where writing something down at the night and just literally sleeping on it kind of helps lock it in a little bit more.
For me too, I find that then I can sleep easier because I'm not worried about the next day. It's like, I already wrote it down, my bullet journal can worry about it while I sleep.
Another thing that really helps me with planning, and I do this in my bullet journal as well, is whenever something, because we all have those flashes of inspiration. I just did a video about this, but we all have these flashes of inspiration. We're like, this is exactly something that I would want to talk about. But like, if we're not able to get it down, or not feel like we're able to like capture it in the moment and like really kind of flesh it out, then it gets lost. So what I do is I'll write down like the core topic of the idea and like 3 little bullet points. And that way, that'll give me enough to come back to at the end of the night and say like, okay, this is what I want to do more on.
Capturing ideas is really important, and I found this especially when I worked at a full-time job at a company in an office. I wanted to be able to make use of every spare second of time I had. I always wanted to know that there was something I could do. So I would spend my commutes writing scripts for videos, writing blog posts. I even have a little laptop and I would edit on the tube, and, just really awkward in public, whatever. I got over it because I wanted to get this stuff done. But you always need to know what's next and what do you need to be doing next, so that you don't waste time trying to figure that out and waste the precious amount of time that you did have to get something productive done.
And when you think about it, if anyone's watching this, you're like, gosh, does it ever stop? And in a way, no. In a way, but
there are passion projects, right?
Yeah, and you get, I think you get yourself into a rhythm of recording and making and editing and publishing, and it just becomes part of your habit. Just like maybe your habit now is just flipping through Instagram. I mean, I do that too, but like less of that. Like if you can just catch yourself and like, oh, I have an idea. Let's take care of that idea first. So,
yeah, and make that the most important thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Any last parting words of advice for managing time with side hustles?
I think the two biggest things that we talked about for me is find a way to plan out your content a little bit so that when you're ready to take action on it, when you have that time in the day, you already have a starting point. Yep. And the other thing is that, especially like my perspective, having a family, being married, he's 2 years old, having a son.
Really cute.
He's a cute kid. When that is your reality as well, it doesn't mean that you can't do anything, but it does mean to me two things. I have to communicate really well with my family, and the second thing is I might have to be a little bit more patient. But that's totally okay, because I think regardless we tend to be rather impatient about these
we want things to move fast.
Yeah, and I do too. So but yeah, being able to plan so that you have something to start on when you're ready, and then also just clear communication. It's really almost impossible, I've found, to over communicate things.
Yeah, I think you have a video on this as well, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, yes. There we go. We're going to link some of Matt's content down below. You really should check out his channel. I personally like watching vlogs these days of other entrepreneurial types of people who are doing cool things. So if you like seeing that in my vlogs, you're gonna like Matt's.
Yeah.
Head on over and check out the video we're filming on his channel about this concept of making a side hustle stay a side hustle rather than building it up to be full-time. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.